There he is. What's up, Ben?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
It's
Great.
good, man. You should see our control panel here. We have like a pretty crazy system that the team's built to run this live stream, which you probably see. But for us, there's just 47 screens and then some of these screens have 47 screens in them. So uh,
It's like
you
NORAD.
look great, though, my friend. You look great.
Thank you very much. No, I think I see it. I see it.
It's kind of fun, right? So
Wait, you
Ben,
guys built it for this?
well, you're only seeing even a little piece of it, and we're excited to share more
Wow.
about that soon. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Ben, you are the CEO of Towns, building the decentralized infrastructure for online communities, and previously the co-founder of Meekrat and House Party. I mean, I honestly didn't put those two things together, but I had a lot of fun on Meekrat back in the day.
Yeah.
That was super fun. So, and I guess big news out of your world is your token is live and
Yeah.
out in the world. So maybe the right place for us to start here is just for you to catch us up. What is Towns? How's that journey been? Give us the pitch.
Yeah. It's well, thanks for having me. It's a journey of 3.5, almost coming up 4 years in the making. It started with the idea that there should be that a lot of the conversations that drive value on the internet do not cap the people that participate in those conversations do not capture the value that they create. So people spend a lot of time going to Reddits or different, Discord servers, Telegram groups, and because of how these products were conceived, in the Web 2 ideation, where just like anything goes, just come in, let's prioritize getting more users and easy sign up, I guess. You don't necessarily get what you're looking for. And therefore, it's really hard to allocate both reputation and capital to the things that drive the value. So what Town is essentially it's a protocol for private group chats where you can sell memberships to the group chat, and it has native integration to blockchain. So everything from the capital allocation that happens where people are buying subscription to your private group chat, which is end-to-end encrypted, it goes on chain. People can see it. The reputation, both of you as a space creator and the membership, is also on chain. The reviews are also on chain. Rules and permission are on chain. Messages are not on chain. We'll get on this. It's wrong use case for blockchain. But what's cool about it that it really opens a whole trust layer around that creates accountability both between the people that facilitate the conversation and the people that participate in the conversation, where you can actually see, why should I be paying? Okay, I'm paying. Other people are also paying. What are people doing with that money? Is this person, is a quality participant in this conversation? And so far, we've seen really great adoption, especially since we launched publicly in October last year, where 35 million, like group chats on Towns have done more than $35 million, and that's revenue in ETH. And then the protocol is taking 10% of it. So the protocol made 3.5 million in ETH net fees, which is pretty insane. Yesterday, someone asked me, like, where do I want to take it? And I was like, well, what we want to get is to a place where like all the inflation of the protocol is just either net or deflationary, plus it pays for all the operations. And we are just 10 times away from I know 10 times sounds a lot, but like from the revenue that it is now, if we get to from 50 million a year, which is kind of where we're tracking, to $500 million a year on the protocol, like this thing is deflationary, and like all the operations are paid for, which I think when you put it in that perspective, this is really not a lot of protocols are in that place, which I think is pretty cool. Now I'm going to shut up and
I'm curious, just
listen to the question.
who's using it? Who's generating all this revenue?
So it started with like, the first wave was on the meme coin craze. So a lot of people that had some alpha for like meme coins, they would go to their audience on Twitter and say like, hey, come join my town, pay me $200, $100, and I'm going to share with you, my calls. And also it's kind of like almost like serious money. I mean, like serious money not in like this is serious money, but like show me your seriousness by putting $100. Show me that you care by putting $100. People. Yeah, go ahead.
Is that the average price, or what kind of price points are people setting?
So we have there's some communities. This is one of the thing that I love when products surprise you. Like you build something and then it's like surprise you. There are some groups that charge half an ETH and an ETH, and like you can see on chain that people are paying, and we're like, why? I wouldn't know. Like why would I pay? And one of the things that is like a driving force in the philosophy behind why should this exist is because we set the default to be value first. So when you think about Snapchat, for example, if it's 2013 right now and somebody comes to you and so like, hey, I have a new app to pitch you, it's like it opens on camera and everything disappears. You'll be like, okay, great, another photo messaging app in 2013. There's like a lot of them. But then what is easily glanced over is that no, setting up the default to be like, this is a place where...
And how do you do that?
In towns,
Yeah.
the default is that you're paying. The default is that you're setting a price. The default is that you're paying. The default is not free. And because of that, it opens how the user perceives the interaction into like, okay, this is how it is here. This is a place that if I have anything valuable that I should be charging for people to participate, then I come to towns because this is the best tool I have in order to both charge and allocate the capital and also unlock people's perception when they join because they can trust. They can see what I'm doing with the money. They can see what's going on there. And then to the question on how much people are charging, we were really surprised. Like, why would somebody agree to pay 1 ETH to join this? And the answer is because they can see that other people are paying that amount. So they can trust that this is worthy. And which is something that doesn't happen when you jump in between 3 different hacky bots on Telegram, private Telegram group to try to pay, $8.
Because essentially the social proof is letting them make the ROI evaluation that they're going to get more value out of this than it costs.
I think that's like a much more, I think, like a much more like thoughtful way to look at it. And I hope that's how they look at it. But I think it actually comes down to, I'm outside the club. Should I be paying $100 to get in without knowing if somebody is inside? But if you had a proof that there's 300 people inside, you're likely to pay. I think it's like a little bit more simple, I guess.
Interesting. So, I mean, I think as I was talking the lead up here, there was this whole era of, Web3 discords that were kind of the popular thing. I think we saw a bunch of different competitors that are sort of in the space. And I think the notable thing here is that, as you said, it's been a 3-4 year journey and you're kind of in the sort of fullness of public, which is not just launching the product, the protocol, but also the token. And I think, if we look over those last 3 years, this question of how do we go launch a token well has been probably one of the most important ones to figure out, and it's also like a very much a moving goalpost there. So I'm curious, the approach that you guys took to launching the token, which some may say was sort of a centralized exchange-based approach, or the airdrop meta into an FTV that's ideally higher than maybe if you just launched on a DEX. I believe that's the approach you took. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, but maybe the core question I have here is like, how did you think through? What were you trying to optimize for with the Towns token launch?
So I've been building products for 13 years. I've done Meerkat, to your point, which had about like maybe 3 or 4 dead bodies of other products before we made Meerkat work. And then House Party after that. Meerkat had 20 million users, House Party 150 million users. And really, what's really cool about working in a space where I can take the communication and also harness it to, all right, what is the value that is happening with the communication? How does it assimilate between all the stakeholders in how it propagates? And then how does this feedbacks into the product, which is, I think, It's so cool. Like, put crypto aside, it is cool. It's really cool, I think, because like usually you have orthogonal relationship with the incentives, whatever it is. We can dive into this if we wanted to, but here you have an opportunity to create a circle. Like, it's not going to be perfect, but you have an opportunity to actually walk through all the incentive alignments and then feedback to the product. So going to your question, I think the coolest thing about thinking about the product is actually to think about the token is actually to think about it as part of the product, right? And how does it all make sense, right? So it starts with something very simple: valuable conversation that people think are worthy to pay for. If we have this, then that's where it starts. Somebody takes value from outside the town's ecosystem and exchange it into going into a group that is exclusive in order to get some form of value in exchange for the value they're bringing inside. At that point, programmatically, 90% goes to the town's treasury, which is controlled by the town owner, and then 10% go programmatically to the protocol. The protocol then have a split of that 10%, 75%, 7.5% basically of the total transaction goes into buy and burn, which is not turned on yet, and then 2.5% go to the treasury. So essentially, the protocol takes 2.5% of that transaction. The buy and burn is deflating the inflation that is being inflated to give to the node operators, which we have about 30 independent node operators. We run one, like 31, but 30 of them are not us. And that's kind of how it ties into how value kind of ties into running the network. In those layers, when you are part of a town, you can delegate. If you wanted, if you have town's token and you want to, you can delegate to your town, which can delegate to a node. And that's also layered into governance. I'm not a huge believer in governance as a key utility, because I just think if we can't get people, if we can only get 6 out of 10 people out to vote for a president every 4 years, like, I'm not sure that, it's just like, it's a hard thing to ask for people to participate. So I think it's really more of like a safety mechanism that allows somebody to bring the stop sign where their value is being like messed up with, but not something that it's more reactive rather than proactive. So just to wrap this out. So then you have to think about, like, okay, this is essential part of the product, right? There is and the third part of what you can do with the token in towns is beyond those parties. When you stake and delegate, you also unlock some features that are inherently putting burden on the nodes. For example, message history. Like, what is the message retention of your space?
I have one last question on this. You build products that are super popular consumer products, 150 million users. Yeah. How is it possible to marry such complex tokenomics with consumer products that are appealing to?
They don't need to know any of it. They don't need to know any of it. It starts with the simple thing: there is valuable conversations that I'm willing to pay for. That's all they need to know. The more you want to get geek, there's more layers to this. And I think it goes also for any type of art, which is like, if we define art as something that is to provoke inspiration of the public. Like, art can be super complicated, but in order for it to be great, it must be understood by any person without any context. They just need to look at it and say, this makes me feel great. And then sure, somebody who went to like art school and work in art can sit here and philosophize for like 3 hours on it and explain why it's great. And some arts are like this. Somebody needs to sit next to you and explain
for sure.
But the great art, nobody needs to say anything.
Like, that's the perfect place to leave it, Ben. And I think maybe we can chat more in depth in the future. I think you give a pretty good overview of towns. The product is live right now, so I think if people are curious about this sort of marrying of real simplicity with the I mean, the docs are there if you want to go deep for sure, but the simplicity is just downloading the app and joining something. I think one of our friends over at Refraction run their community on Towns, and so if you're a member over there, you can go use it, or you can go join it. I think they're actually running a membership drive right now. So, Ben, I'm sure it's been a crazy week for you, my man. I wish you a relaxing weekend, and I guess we're going to see you in the trenches early next week.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Ben.
All right. Bye, guys.